Hello, fellow refiners. Tony and Christine here from the Refinement, Not Retirement podcast to talk more about our latest electric car refinements. So let's say, first of all, if you could see us both on screen, you'll see Christine there. Let's say hello to Christine. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
That's great. So in the last episode, let me just frame this up. We discussed the sale of our two Teslas, why we sold them, how we sold them. We also chatted about the delivery or the not delivery of our new Model 3 Highland refresh. That's the updated version of the Model 3. We collected it on the 6th of February, and we shared our first impressions of that car. I will be jumping on here at some point to give you a bit more detail about what we think now that we've had it for a month or so, a couple of months nearly. But having sold the two Teslas and replaced them with one, we were on the horns of a dilemma. Should we stick with one car? And we had talked a lot about that because now that we don't have jobs, we tend to go nearly everywhere together. So it
Yeah,
didn't.
we flip-flopped, didn't we? We
We
kept going,
did.
yes, we do need, no, we don't. Yes, we do, no, we don't.
We did.
Flip-flop backwards and forwards.
And one of the things, one of the ideas that we had a while back, quite a few months back, was the idea of getting a small runaround as a second car because the two Teslas were both long range cars. It didn't make sense to have two long range electric cars, which are expensive. They take a lot of energy to charge. So
That's probably, actually, if I just jump in there, that's probably why we were in the flip-flopping of needing two cars or not, because our mindset was two Teslas. And that was seeming more and more ridiculous. So when we
hmm,
were talking about just going to one, I think it was because we were thinking we really don't need two Teslas, wasn't it?
yeah,
So
it was.
I
It
think
was.
our brains got focused on that, and we were sort of not even considering anything else, and as you're about to say about the little runaround,
Yeah.
because we were thinking, well, why don't we just have one nice car and use that to go everywhere, really? Because as you say, we go everywhere together, and pretty much. And if one of us needed to go somewhere without the other, well, we make plans that we don't go out that day, or we don't make
Yes.
plans on the same day. So that was the kind of where we were thinking for a long time,
So
really.
yes, and a small. We wanted to stick with electric, of course we did, because we're committed to that. But the idea of going with a small electric car is obviously it's just a lot cheaper overall, and it would only be for really our local driving, shopping, and going to pickleball and stuff.
And yeah,
Dentist,
shopping,
doctor, and
yes,
all that sort of
yeah,
all of which
yeah.
is local and doesn't require a big battery. So we were excited when we heard about the BYD Dolphin, and we went to which is a small car. It's a very small car, but it's very
Chinese,
well
isn't
spec'd.
it?
It's BYD stands for Build Your Dreams. That's the name of the company. It's a very, very big, substantial Chinese manufacturer of, among other things, electric cars. And they've made big well, certainly in China they're huge, but they're trying to break into the UK market, and they bought in the BYD Dolphin. And I'm not going to go into that at all here, but we did an episode back in July of 23 last year called "Is BYD a Tesla Killer?" So you can look back through our past episodes and check that out because we had an experience. Let's put it this way: we had an interesting experience. We had high hopes for the Dolphin, BYD Dolphin, but they were rather dashed because as you'll hear if you hear the episode, when we compared it to the technology that's in a Tesla and the driving experience, we felt flat. So now here we were. Do we still want to stick with this idea of getting a small local car? And we came to the conclusion. Well, you say, Chris, what conclusion did we come to? So I'm not
Well,
rabbiting
I
on.
think you did. I think you are, as you always do, a lot of research when you decided that yes, maybe we should just have a little second run around, especially when we were loving, and we do still, and we love the Model 3 Highland. Um, but it is so special. We just thought this is crazy just to put a lot of miles on it and drive it around. Let's, once we've got it, we just thought, it's going to be in and out all day long because we are busy being retired and refining ourselves, always doing something, aren't we?
Yeah,
And you said, well, I think we really should get a little second run around and keep this for long distances and keep this special and not put the miles on it. So you came up with the idea of the Mini. But in fact, if you remember rightly, just going back quickly, and we must have been still of the mindset when we first came here, we looked at the Mini, didn't we?
yeah,
And we test drove it. Was that the electric? Yes, it was.
yeah,
And we test drove it, and we immediately, well, one, because we were looking at brand new and it was outrageously expensive. Two, the range is about 100 miles. And we quickly eliminated it because I think we were in new, replacing a Tesla mindset, and we very quickly said no, this is crazy. So now our whole minds, I think, have gone full circle at this point. Yours particularly, after looking at lots of smaller electric cars as our runaround. And you came to the conclusion very quickly. And in fact, didn't we start looking the day after we
yeah.
had
We
the
collected the Highland.
Highland?
I think it was about then. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, the crucial thing that you've reminded me of there is that we decided to go for second hand and
Yes.
a used car. So that obviously that wouldn't be anywhere near the same investment as a new electric car. I mean,
No,
a new Mini is
exactly.
sort of mid thirties. I mean,
40s, I
a
think
nice one,
now.
maybe even
Yeah.
more now. And the point, obviously, we decided to do that, but that immediately we said to go for used, or as they love to say, pre-loved, pre-owned.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or pre-used.
Immediately we decided to do that.
Pre-owned.
That meant that we were limited in our choice because now there's no, we needed to get something 1 or 2 years old, didn't we, in order to bring the capital expenditure down.
Yes, yeah.
And that really meant that we didn't have a lot of choice. So our first electric car, though not fully electric, but pretty much fully electric, was the BMW i3, and that was a mini size. And we actually loved that car. It was perfect for London,
For
perfect
our
for
for our
where we
first
lived.
electric car.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
perfect. I mean, it was
it was.
great, and that was a contender. But the more research I did on it, the more I realized that the Mini gives you a proper driving experience. I mean,
Yes.
even a petrol head likes driving a Mini Cooper. I mean, it's a fun car to drive. And by this time, we had realized that the getting a car with a big battery and a long range obviously puts the cost up because the battery is the most important component in an electric car. But it was unnecessary because all we need to do after our day's shopping or whatever it is plug it into the house. And the next morning, you've got a full tank, as it were. So we realized that the Mini was, I mean, the Mini is now obviously a BMW product. It's a just a great experience. And we thought, really, yeah, and it's also, even though I'm a big guy, it's comfortable. I don't have my
I know
head
you didn't even
touching
have
the
a problem.
ceiling.
No,
I
people are
mean,
surprised at that. They go, "How can you sit? How's your driving position?" And you're actually sitting it very comfortably, don't you?
yeah, and you obviously you can't really get two people in the back unless they're kids, really, with hardly
Well,
any
even
legs.
that, I don't know.
But
I'm not even
but
sure our grandkids could get in the back with any leg room, quite frankly.
we kind of keep the back
maybe my
seats folded,
side.
don't we, and use it as
Yes,
cargo
for the shopping.
space, and
Yeah,
that
exactly.
works absolutely fine. There's a lot of space if you've got them
Yes.
folded flat. So now it was a question of finding it. So you've been kind enough to say that I do a lot of research, and I think I am pretty good at that. But you are really good at finding deals, and
Yes, and you
also
told me what sort of
negotiating
budget, didn't you?
deals. I mean,
Yes.
I've always regarded myself as a decent negotiator, but you are phenomenal.
Oh, well,
So
thank you. And you had researched and you said the Mini is definitely the car for us. So
yeah, that
that's your, after, so, you do all that. And then you said, right, I need you to go out there and the sooner we can find one, the better. So that's what I did. So, I put in, as you do in the search engine, pre-used Mini, blah, blah, blah. And you suddenly open up yourself to a world that you find that there is a real following of Mini people. There's clubs and all sorts, and it's very exciting and really fun. And it's just another little world, really, a bit like the Tesla world. Now we're in the Mini world. So I found one which I quite like the look of, with the yellow um, caps on the
door mirrors,
door
door mirrors.
door mirrors,
Yeah.
and the yellow wheels in a sort of silvery grey creamy colour, down in Bristol. So that looks sort of quite good at the price, and you put a deposit down, and then we said yes, we'll go down. So we belted down, I think, on the Sunday, didn't we, or the Saturday?
So
I can't remember.
just let's pause there for a moment, because one of the things I want to sort of get across in this episode is, well, talking about our experience of acquiring a Mini Electric, is the big difference between dealing with one of these online disruptors like the Car Shop UK, which is where you found that one, and it was a really good price. I
Yes,
mean, I think it was a very good price. It attracted us on that basis. It had a good mileage,
yes.
low mileage. It was a color that we liked, uh, and everything looked good. But I really I want us, because we ended up not, not to spoil it, but we ended up not buying this particular car, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But I want to sort of compare that experience with what we actually ended up doing, which was buying from a proper Mini
No, and I understand
dealer.
that, but the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes you have to do these things. You can't come to the conclusion until you experience the first. This was the first time we've ever done anything like this. This car shop place, and you know we were having doubts about it. You've got to admit, we were having doubts. I was saying, do we really want to go? But you said, yes, we do want to go, because I think one needs to learn and understand, and very quickly paint the picture, which moved us on to out of that type of buying.
Yeah, but just to remind you, you probably already remember this because you've got a much better memory than I have. But by the point of us going to go down to Bristol to see this particular car with the Car Shop UK, by that time you had already found the people that we actually eventually bought from, Cotswolds Mini, the Cotswolds Group in Cheltenham. You'd already found a car through them.
Yes,
And
yeah,
in
actually,
fact,
yes, I
you
had.
wanted me to speak to the saleswoman that we dealt with, Katarina Kriskova, and which I did before we left. And she was I mean, she was excellent throughout our dealings with her, but she was very keen, really, to stop us going to see the Bristol. Not that she ran down the car shop or anything. She did not at all. But she was obviously, as is her job, she was keen to get our business. But I said to her, no, we need to look at this other one. We have to look at it and eliminate it, or otherwise. And
Yeah, and
she
she
was
needed, and
fine with
she
that.
and she probably knew that, because I think she knew that we probably had to do it to satisfy ourselves, and probably 99.9% knew we were going to come back to her anyway, and she was right. And in fact, actually, I talked to another company in Sintner of Worcester too,
Who
and
actually own the
he had
car
got.
shop? They actually own the car shop. Well, I know you dealt with a dealer, but I believe Syntner actually own the car shop.
Yes, yeah, but these were mini dealers, like specific sort of cars. And again, they were good prices, but we just had to, we'd got this price in our head, and so we needed to have a look to see. And of course, very quickly, as you said, I don't need to go on and on and on about it. We went down there.
The 9th of February,
The
it was a beautiful day. We had a
Oh, nice. Lovely. Yeah.
lovely
So we had a
drive
nice drive out, didn't we? It was
in the
lovely. It was
high
only
in
an
the Model
hour from
3.
us down in Bristol.
Yeah, we went
Yeah,
down.
yeah, it was lovely. But we very quickly saw that, it was a bit sort of cattle shop process, herd them in and herd them out. No real direct selling. That we were taken to the car eventually after being held
We
on
were
for a
kept
long time.
waiting a long time. I mean, it's like going into a IKEA. I mean, it's just a big car supermarket.
Yeah,
And well, unlike IKEA really, because you don't get kept waiting
that's
in
efficient.
IKEA, but we
Yeah,
were kept waiting a long time, although we'd made an appointment. We had paid the £99 fully refundable deposit, which is fair enough, because they want some kind of expression of intent. And
yeah,
I think that's perfectly fair enough. We had said that if we like the car, we probably would be taking it away. So please make sure it's fully charged. Please make sure it's all clean and sparkling, which you'd expect them to do anyway if they're showing off a new car.
yeah.
But that bit of it, I mean, obviously we've already talked about the weight until the salesman eventually, excuse me, the salesman eventually took us to see the
Sauntered
car.
over. Yeah,
It all sort of went downhill, didn't it? Because the car itself, they hadn't made any effort to prepare it. It wasn't sparkling clean. The charge, you open the boot and the charging leads are just essentially thrown in there. No thought really to the preparation of the car. And the salesman
smelt.
it smelled horrible. And the salesman, who I'm not going to name because I don't think it's fair, he's not here to defend himself, but he really knew nothing. I mean, we knew far more about electric cars, and he was sort of almost saying, "Well, yeah, you do." And and to be honest, he said, "I'm really an EV hater." He didn't use those words, but that was the effect
He
of what
liked the classical guitar, didn't he?
guitar.
The classical guitar, the classic guitar cars.
He was a
Sorry.
petrol head. He was a petrol head.
Yes, but he liked
Um,
classic cars as
Oh, he
well,
did. You're
old
right. You're right. He
cars.
did have a penchant for classic cars. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, I asked him about the range because, as you rightly said, I mean, the advertised range of the Mini Electric, like all electric cars, is absolutely pie in the sky. It says it has a range of about 140. I think they even say 145 miles. Total BS. There's no way that you're going to do that unless you push the car for 145 miles. It's just not real world. But you expect to see that in a car. You expect to see on what they call the GOM, which is the guessometer, really, of how much range you've got left. You expect to see that displayed, that figure, even though it's BS. But here it was showing something like 70 miles. I said, well, you're supposed to have this car fully charged, and it's giving me a 7. I mean, I don't think we would have even got home, would we? Is it? I don't know. Maybe Bristol's closer than I think. But
yeah, I can
uh,
remember that.
you know, uh, so he couldn't answer the question, and I sort of
Well, he
realized
wandered off as well. He said, "Well, you know more than I do, and I'll let you, and then I'll come back. You have a
he,
look at it." So there's
yeah,
no pushy. That's one nice
yeah,
thing
not
I have
pushy.
to
You're right.
say.
You're right. Yeah.
There's no pushy salesman stuff and trying to get you. They actually really don't care whether you buy it or not. They really
Well,
do
I'm
not
sure they
care.
care,
Well, they do if they don't get the
but they're
commission.
not
But
pushy. They're not pushy. You're right, and it's they really rely on they rely on low pricing, and it was well priced. It
yes,
was
it
well
was.
priced, but they hadn't prepared the car. I mean, first impressions are everything. We all know that in sales. We should do. And they just hadn't done their work on that. And as we've said, the car smelt, which put me, that does really put you off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
So
that
we
wasn't good.
made a
And the
quick
range
retreat,
was
didn't we?
they hadn't even reset the range, which you should do with an electric car. So it's back to the factory settings, which would then show the advertised range or something close to it. Although I've got more
Yeah.
to say about that when I talk about the Highland in a future episode. because I've learned something about range when it comes to the Model 3 Highland, which I think other people will find, any other people who are interested in electric cars might find interesting if they don't already know this. But I'm not going to talk about that now. Anyway, obviously, the end of that story, our Bristol
Yeah,
excursion, is that, well, I
back
think
we
I said
come.
to you at the end, are we going to, in front of him, actually, I said to you, are we going to love it or leave it? And
Yes.
we both in chorus said, we'll leave it. But I don't think that came as any surprise to
No, it
the
didn't.
sales
Off we
guy.
tootled back all the way up the motorway again and home.
And on the way back, I mean, you never rest
Oh
when it
yes,
comes to
yes,
getting
yes. I
things
called
done.
Katerina,
You
didn't I?
called
Yes.
Katerina and said, "Yeah, we'd like to come and see yours." Now, this was a car that she had to go somewhere. You probably can remember where it is. She had
Well,
to
no,
go somewhere else to get
it
it.
was at Hereford. It was on their site, but it was in Hereford. So she had to call them. We wanted to see it the next day, so she said that she would call them and have it. No, she couldn't get it over to us till the Tuesday, and she said, I'll call them and get it over to you ready to show you on Tuesday." Um, uh, and in fact, so we made the appointment, went over there on the Tuesday, or it could have been the Monday, I'm not sure now. But they couldn't get it to her, and that she had actually gone over herself to get it and bring it um, to the showroom in Cheltenham. So when we arrived, we actually pulled up parking right next to it because I knew the number plate as advertised, and it was plugged in and looking clean, and it was there sitting there right next to us. Do you remember?
I do.
Um, and we had a sort of quick and oh, actually, it started to rain, didn't it? It was vile the weather, and we sort of had a quick look, and then she came out because she spotted us in our Tesla, came out and opened it up and said, "Do you want to have a look?" So she opened it up and left us to it and said, "Come in when you've had a look to discuss." Because we'd sort of were pretty much saying we were going to buy
Well,
a
we had
nice
a test
one.
drive.
Oh, yeah, not on that one. We didn't. We test drove the one we
Oh,
bought.
yes, no,
We
no.
didn't even test
Oh,
drive it.
okay, fine, fine, fine.
Yes, but we were
I
basically.
just here, I want to sort of say just quickly what a difference experience it was. You know, the way Katerina dealt with us, the whole experience of visiting Cotswolds BMW Mini in their beautiful showroom there. They even have a gorgeous
Coffee
upmarket
shop.
coffee shop where everything is free, and it's served to you. I mean, the experience is just, you do pay more. I mean, you do. The prices there are higher. They're not ridiculously high, but it's just so nice. And I'm going to, when I talk about Tesla in a future episode, I'm going to contrast this with the Tesla experience. But just dealing with a very high quality dealer like that, who have resources and they have good staff, well trained staff, who really go out of the way to look after you. And just remind you of this in case you've forgotten. I'm sure you won't have done. But as you were driving down, you said to Katerina on the phone, "Look, one thing we don't like about your car is that we really like those
Oh
yellow
yes, I had forgotten
door
that.
mirrors."
Yes.
And she'd even got her manager's approval to change that color for us. We decided to go with that car. And so that just gives you an idea of the kind of level of service that the contrast, if you like, between
Yes, yes,
the
yes,
online
exactly.
experience. The car shop is more of an online sort of disruptor, and a proper traditional car dealer, main car dealer experience. So anyway, I'll let you now move on with the story as far as,
We okay
um,
time
yeah,
wise?
we are just checking that. Not a lot of time though, but so I'll just let you get on with the
Okay.
story of what
Yes.
actually happened
All
after
right.
what we decided.
So we were sort of I think well anyway, so she went off back in because it was pouring with rain. We sort of jumped in the car, had a little look round, sat there. It was everything, she said it was. There wasn't any, there was no surprises or anything. But we both looked at each other and just felt there was something missing, and we didn't know what it was, did we? But we thought it's okay. It is what it, it is what it says that it is, and it's the color. And she'll put the, the caps on, and um, we sort of said right, and then as we sort of let's go in and discuss it with her. So as we walked in, I spotted a British racing green, as they call it, parked sort of at an angle just by the entrance to the door that we went in, and we both looked at each other and went, "Wow, that's rather nice." And it was attracted us because it had souped up wheels, it had tinted back windows, other items which I'll get to in a minute, but we kind of really quite liked it. And because I talked to you before about a British racing green, and you said you hadn't liked the colour at all, but this kind of caught your eye and said, "Oh, I do like it." So we went in and she said, "Well, what do you think?" "Oh, again, I'll be with you in a minute. Go and get yourselves a coffee, and it's lovely. You sit there, and it's all lovely and comfy." Came over and we said, "Look, we do like it, but we're really quite taken with this British green. What, racing green? What can you tell us about it?" Well, I guess it was it a couple of £1,000 more? Can't
Yes, I
remember.
think 1 or 2 thousand.
Something like that.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, I did offer it to you, but you were the budget you were talking about. We wanted to, you were not so much as that. But this has just come in. It's It's one of our local people, because I recognise the number plate, and he changes his Mini every couple of years. He'd had the souped up wheels on there. He'd had a heated steering wheel put in. He'd had tinted back windscreen wipers. It had
we should say that this is a Mini electric level 2.
Oh, that's it. Level, yes. We said we had to have the
so most of
level
these
2, yes,
things are
Cooper.
standard. The wheels weren't standard, as you rightly say. The heated steering wheel was not standard.
The tinted windows at the back weren't.
Yeah, so it just looked good. And they prepared it, which was nice. So it was in showroom condition. Well, cut a long story short, that's what we went for.
We went and test drove it. We had a go down to Morrison's.
We did.
You drove one way, I drove the other one. And then we said, let's go for it. But obviously we wanted to do some negotiating, which we did. We couldn't drive it away that day because it had to have an MOT, because it's coming up 3 years in September, I think. So they said that they would MOT it for us. They would also give us a 1-year roadside assistance warranty on it,
and a further 1 year of the actual main warranty, correct? From the
yes,
which was another good thing.
Yeah, and again, very pleasant. "I want you to be happy," she said. "I'll talk to my manager, see what we can do." Came up with a price we were happy with. And said they would have it ready, I think the next day, didn't they?
I think it was the next day, and was, again, we had another great experience when we picked the car up, and you got Katerina to put on our private number plates, I think, or didn't you, or something? No, you did something.
She made them up, because I'd taken mine off the Tesla, and they're different. They need screwing in, but she kindly said that again she would throw those in. I think they're about £35, but she would have them made up for us.
But I mean, that's a big
put them on. Yes,
it's a big pain having to deal with that yourself, isn't it? And Tesla won't do that for you.
It's a big pain.
They won't do it for you. So that was another good experience there. So hats off to Katerina and to Cotswolds Mini, who we were very happy with what they did for us. And I just, in sort of wrapping this up, because we are very close now to the end of our time, these Kazoo, I don't know if you know this, but the companies like this, Kazoo and Cinch, and I think like the car shop, they are the online disruptors who've tried to, completely change the model, and it really hasn't worked. I mean, financially, I don't know about car shop, but I know Kazoo and Cinch have been in great difficulties. That's widely reported. And I can see why. Because, I don't think you can compete with that great personal service. that you get there.
Well, and after purchase
and
service.
I tell you, and you'll immediately see what I'm saying here, Chris. It's like Purple Bricks, isn't it? Which has now gone out of business.
Yeah.
You just don't. Just thinking you can put things online and get people to do everything on a website isn't enough. I mean, particularly when it comes to
Well, it's
buying
the after
expensive things
sales
like
too.
cars and
Yeah, isn't it?
houses. Absolutely. So I think there's no substitute for great service, and we've since getting the Mini, we've had a tire burst because we hit a pothole. And what great service we had from the breakdown service that came with the car from the from BMW Group. They came out and put a loaner wheel on, and we were able to get on our way with no disruption. We wouldn't have had any of that, I don't think.
No, well, it's that after sales thing. I think that's very important. It's not just any item, not just buying it, is it? It's the what service you're going to get afterwards. It's too easy just to get something because you think you're going to save a few pounds, and then you've got it, and then suddenly something goes wrong with it, and you've got no warranty. You've got no help or after sales assistance, and you're done. We would have been absolutely stumped, wouldn't we, if we'd have bought that one and we'd have had the experience.
Definitely.
Yeah,
so would you mind putting?
We've learnt our lessons.
So this is your car, the Mini. Would you like to put a little photograph on the podcast?
Yeah.
Our
and we
Facebook
do love
page.
Her. We love her.
We do love her. She's lovely to drive. She's a lot
Yeah.
of fun. She's got good technology on her, good tech. But do take a look at our refinement, not retirement, Facebook page, where we will post, or Christine will post, a picture or two of our new Mini baby. But it's certainly been great. I think it was a great decision. So hope you enjoyed hearing about our experience, dear listener. And I'll be back shortly to tell you a bit more about what I think of the Tesla, the new one, the Model 3 Highland. But for now, I think that's the end of it. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.